So my name is Meryl Fury. I am a registered nurse. I have my master's in nursing, and I've spent the majority of my career in public health, a lot of it right here in South Waukegan and North Chicago. So I have a big place in my heart for the people of this area, people in general, although the people can be really irritating, you know? But we maintain a place for people because that's who we live with, right? Amen. So I want to let you know I have no conflicts of interest to declare. That's something we medical people have to say, and that means I'm not getting $50,000 to sit here and talk about broccoli. So that's what that is. I lead a nonprofit, and it's called Plant-Based Nutrition Movement. It's located here in Waukegan. Our goal is to assist people to prevent, manage, and reverse chronic illness using food as medicine. So as a nurse, I'm trained in the medical side of things, but my heart is actually in keeping people from getting sick in the first place. And once they do get sick, then to teach them how to manage their own illnesses at home without a bazillion medications and more visits to the hospital and doctor, which ultimately winds up, doesn't usually end well when it starts going down that path. This is a QR code, please scan that. That is for our social media, and that's how we get the word out. So I wanted to talk a little bit tonight about the health of our population and what we can do to make a difference. The current state of health in America is, in Black America, is deplorable. It's only getting worse all the time, and in particular with the current administration, yeah? So we have what we call social determinants of health. These are things that are at play in the community. There are political determinants of health, things that are at play politically. There are commercial determinants of health, and those are things that affect us that are in the commercial environment, things we buy, things we're sold. All of those affect our health. It's interesting to think that African people prior to the year 1600 were among the strongest people on the planet, strong enough to be pulled out of Africa to come to this country, to build this country from nothing under the worst conditions. And now we are to the point where this is our condition. We are more likely to die of any disease that we are hit with, and we get hit with more aggressive and more lethal forms of diseases than almost any other population. But how does that happen? What makes that happen? It has a lot to do with the social determinants of health, political and commercial determinants of health. And what we're going to focus on tonight is food, which is all of those. So prior to 1600, this is what our people ate in West Africa, predominantly a plant-based diet, right? So you can see here, we've got fruits, some vegetables, they ate beans, there was watermelon, there were like winter squash, butternut squash, that type of thing. Like I said, tropical fruits, herbs, very little meat, very little meat, almost no animal products. Milk was not a thing unless maybe you were a Maasai or down in like South Africa area, Kenya area. Those people have been pastoral people for thousands of years. But the rest of the people primarily ate plant-based. And then we landed here. And this is what we were given, right? So we went from a nutrient-dense, fresh food, plant-rich diet to eating slave food. And that is a depiction of what a slop bucket might have looked like, right? So discarded scraps, crusts, bones, skin, things that nobody wanted to eat. They wouldn't even feed it to the dog. And that's what was cooked up and given to the slaves. This low quality, nutrient poor, psychologically abusive food is how the slaves were controlled, right? Because if you want to control a people, you control the food first, right? Okay, so that mentality of controlling people through food is still at play today. It's been going on for at least 400 years, and it also is the way that the Native Americans were treated and rooted out of the areas that were their native lands for so many years. So what we have now is food apartheid, We have targeted marketing of harmful, toxic products to our communities. We have lack of access to trustworthy, high-quality healthcare. There's under-resourced healthcare systems. There's lack of knowledge and health literacy. And dare I say, we personally have an attachment to eating these foods,
Yes.
right? We do. Now, my mother was a good Southern cook. I ate my share of pig's feet and chitlins and hog maws and all of that. And I loved it. She was great at it. I did not help, but I watched her clean chitlins many times. But this is part of what keeps us and starts to deteriorate our health. These are social, political, and commercial determinants of health. Just one thing to consider, the current administration is dismantling, I'll say, certain of the supports that were in place for people of all colors, and in particular people with Black and brown skin. So we are up against a serious onslaught impacting our health in very negative ways. So today, we are still eating slop. Now, I focus on food all day long, every day. This is my full-time job, 10 hours a day, most days. We call this calorie-rich and processed, and the acronym for that is CRAP. It is not healthy food. It is known to cause illness. It's been researched so many times. In fact, there was a study that came out not too awful long ago. I'm gonna say it was in the last year or two. It was about pregnant women who ate a low quality, high fat, high animal product diet while they were pregnant. That those infants were born with fatty streaks in their coronary arteries already. That is the beginning of heart disease at birth. They were born like that, so before birth. And then with a mom who is already used to eating this, and this stuff is very alluring, right? We want that. It's well marketed. Look at this pretty package, right? Everybody loves McDonald's French fries, at least every now and then, right? But once a child in a household that's, the child was born like this, they're probably going to continue to eat like this, and these children will almost without fail become obese, develop heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, some cancers, ADHD, right? Autism. There's all these things that happen, and these are food-borne illnesses. We know that now. As sure as if you had somebody doing something ugly in the fields and they came up with E. coli on lettuce, right? That is a food-borne illness. So are these, right? So just for giggles, I'd like to take a little poll, okay? How many people in this room have somebody in your family, either a child or an adult, close or near, or maybe it's yourself, but you don't have to say that, who has diabetes? Yeah, high blood pressure. Keep your hands up. Heart disease, ADHD, autism, asthma. That's almost everybody in this room has somebody. What's the common denominator?
Food.
Our toxic food culture is what we call that. Toxic food. So, the NAACP has been doing great work pushing back against the onslaught against Black and brown people since the early 1900s, right?
Right.
This is the next frontier. Our food is killing our people. It's robbing our children of their ability to become productive adults. And actually, there's research that shows this kind of diet, and worse, the high processed, high animal-centric diet, causes such distress for the child that they wind up going and having behavioral disorders and ADHD and all these things. And then we know we have the school to prison pipeline, and wouldn't we like to stop that? This was a graphic put out by the Centers for Disease Control in February of 2023. They don't want to make too much of a ruckus about it, but they are trying to say that children do not get, and it's Black children in particular, because we don't get to be poster children unless they're talking about us to us, right? So they're saying 1 in 2 kids did not get a daily vegetable. This is they were doing a retrospective over the previous 7 days, and 1 in 3 did not get a daily fruit.
Because, don't you think because they live in food deserts, a lot of them?
And yes, But not, this is a national study
Yeah.
across all. I think it was like something like 34,000 children they studied. It was everybody. But they found it was harder, more detrimental, more damaging among Black and brown children.
It's more environmental. It's so easy to get to and, to get.
Well, yes, we are marketed to it.
Right.
Our environments are set up
Right.
that we can get the dollar menu at McDonald's, right? Or I don't even know if they have a dollar menu anymore. It's probably a $5 menu by now. But we have, it is difficult for us to get it. And we have an addiction to the foods that cause these problems, right?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to eat McDonald's. Mom, can I go to, what is that one? Chick-fil-A. I want Kool-Aid. I want Takis. Right? This is what children ask for. And it's just easier to give in, honestly. By the time they drive you crazy begging for it, it's just easier to give in. So what we recommend, our nonprofit, is all about, like I said, helping people to eat healthy food. And really we focus very tightly on children. Because if we don't take,
Question,
yes,
real quick. Some of this is hereditary. I know my grandmother and my mother had diabetes. I have it, and the doctor has told my daughter that she will eventually get it. She thinks it's hereditary down through the family line. Because growing up in the South, we had gardening, we did all of this. We didn't have money to do a lot of McDonald's and all of that.
and it
So
didn't
I got it.
exist when we were kids like that. McDonald's wasn't like that,
No,
right?
but
So
still, I got it.
about genetics.
Yeah.
So what they found is that the human body, in all its wisdom, can actually turn genes on and off depending upon the environment and the food provided. So you can actually reverse type 2 diabetes.
Well, I need to do that.
I will be happy to coach you in that. But there are ways to do it. You don't have to die of heart disease. Heart disease is the #1 killer in this country. One person dies of a heart attack every 30 seconds. So since I've been talking, 5 people at least have died of a heart attack. It's not, it can be avoided, let's put it that way, right? Diabetes is the same. All of them are manageable, but mostly through diet. 80% of the cure is in diet, like this.
There's a
This
young
type.
rapper this weekend, 31 years old, who just dropped dead.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
There was a young rapper this weekend who just dropped dead. He was only 31 years old.
Now, there is a genetic component. I don't want to discount genetics completely, right? But we can do a lot to stack the deck in our favor. But it has to be food. You have to do food. Food is 80% of the cure. So it looks like this. This is literally what I eat in a day, right? I eat salads, I eat wraps and fruits and vegetables, and this is how you do it. This is food as medicine. Yes, ma'am.
The only exception is it's not being cooked in vegetable oil, because that's the key component to all the stuff they serve at McDonald's and Burger King, is how the food is being prepared. And once you put it in vegetable oil, and vegetable oil has some kind of chemical which take away the nutrients of your French fries, your cheeseburgers, and so forth. These things are not cooked in vegetable oil because they come right out the earth, which can be better for you, except for all the pesticide and all that they put on you. You just have to wash it really good. But I'd rather take my chance with green vegetables more so than
Most
the
definitely.
processed food that's being prepared in
Most
vegetable
definitely.
oil.
There is never a day, unless a person is absolutely starving, they're in a calorie deficit and they need something, that would be the only time I would say McDonald's would be an appropriate choice.
Right.
Otherwise, this is food as medicine. This is where we get our micronutrients, our fiber, everything that feeds our immune system.
What about your carbohydrates? You getting to that now?
We can talk about carbohydrates. Thanks for bringing that up. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all of this is carbohydrate, complex carbohydrates. There is a feeling that we should avoid carbohydrates, right? So that is more the refined carbohydrates. So we're talking about white bread, white rice, cookies, cakes, donuts,
Spaghetti.
candies, some pastas, right? White pastas, highly refined products. Those kind of carbohydrates do not do anything good for the body. Complex carbohydrates like this, where you have fiber and you have nutrients, you've got proteins, you've got you've got vitamins and minerals. these are okay carbohydrates to eat. In fact, the body runs on carbohydrates. That's what the brain runs on. You want carbohydrates. Beans will provide lots of protein, so will these here, the nuts and the seeds and the grains. And mushrooms are medicinal almost all the time.
Do you know why maybe many people are allergic to nuts though?
You know, I don't have a good answer for that. Some people are born allergic to, like, peanut allergies can be really difficult, really life-threatening. And you can develop nut and seed allergies over time. Yeah, there's schools of thought on that that would probably be a topic for another day.
Okay.
It's a long one.
Thank you.
I wanted to bring your attention to this. This is one of the projects I'm most proud of right this minute. It's called More Plants on Plates. This is a project that we created in collaboration with another nonprofit that we encourage parents and children to sign up to get plant-based meals in schools. This is related to the school law that was passed. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, no, I know that my grandkids, their school, Lions Mag Christian Mag, yeah, so I know they're doing this, so that's why I was really interested in it.
Yes,
And the
thank
kids
you.
love it. I thought that when my daughter first said it, I was like, oh, they're not gonna, but they love it.
Yes.
They eat it up.
Yes, I was just speaking with them today.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
they're
a good
doing
school.
really well. They've noticed changes in the children's
Yes.
behavior, that they're not
Yes.
bouncing off the walls right after breakfast, and they're not falling asleep after lunch. They have whole food, plant-based meals there that are really supportive of the kids. They also don't have, like, the allergies and the headaches and the stomach upsets and the misbehaviors. So this one is, we were able to get about 1,200 kids signed up for plant-based lunches across the state of Illinois with this
That's
project.
great.
Yeah, thank you. So these are some of our other initiatives. 6 Million Seeds is like the umbrella that a lot of it falls under. And that's the Child Nutrition Education Project. More Plants on Plates, I just told you about. I am a Food for Life instructor, which means that I go out and teach people how to cook plant-based foods. We might make them culturally palatable, because who the heck wants to eat plain tofu? Almost nobody. So we make sure that we season food well and we prepare it well and we maintain a nutrient base. We're also working right now, the last two listed there, we're creating a culinary medicine course for sickle cell warriors to teach them different foods that are specifically useful for sickle cell symptom management. And then there's the Roots to Rise Reset, which is a 21-day online course that we're creating, which people can sign up for and have fun, be in a community, learn recipes. It's all online. This again is our logo, bless you. Feel free to please capture that QR code, and please hit us up on social media and, spread the word.
May I ask, how many
That's pretty much
schools are in your program in this area?
In this area, across the state of Illinois, we are either working with now or have already worked with about 15 schools.
How many
15
schools?
schools, yeah. There are one in Wisconsin, only because I live in Kenosha. And that can be the More Plants on Plates, where we work directly with the school. We give them a micro grant of about $2,500. We give them the resources, the vendors, how to connect with people. We encourage them, we coach their staff. Hold on. And thank you very much. Any other?
Thank you.